photos at will.
If the camera can take it.
As long as we have our clothes on, it's okay.
Well, it's my great pleasure to welcome back our dear friend Krishna Das, and it's fun every time. And his wonderful team of musicians, and Kevin in the back doing the magic with the buttons. And we're just so thrilled that you come back year after year and light this valley up. And we're also grateful to our president and
Mr.
where are you?
President, thank you. Nice to meet
He's
you.
president, like a president, Bob Thurman, who tirelessly teaches people small groups, big groups, medium-sized groups. And we're so grateful that you keep doing that for
It's
us.
just fun to be here. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with KD and Nina and everyone and all of you. It's so much fun. We're so lucky. We're like 100% blessed that we're here. And we just, I think KD has to tell the story about Telephone Baba.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I never heard that story until tonight, but he has to tell you that story.
I like to, but you know,
What?
I see
good
that
night.
you're carrying the special Vajra weapon of the Hudson Valley.
What?
That you're carrying the Vajra weapon of this valley that actually stops the mind upon sight.
I hope so.
You are.
I
your,
wish, I
your
wish.
socks.
What? Oh, yes. Well, one of my sons gave it to me. They're called Happy Socks.
There you go.
And I do like them, I must admit. They
I
kind of
can't
liven
stop
things up.
looking at them.
And we really need.
My mind won't go anywhere else. It's just on this stuff. Okay, I don't know, Bob and I were talking about something, and I remembered a story that I was told. Of course, somebody else told me it didn't happen that way, but that's just the way it goes. So there was a young man who became a doctor, and he came to Maharaji. This was up in the mountains in India. He came to Nim Karoli Baba, and he said, I'm a doctor now, what should I do? And Maharaji said, you should go to the villages and take care of the people in the villages, because there's no care for them, and they don't have doctors. So along with everything else he did, he would constantly go out to the villages and take care of people. He was a good man. So one day the doctor's brother came to see Maharaji at one of the temples nearby, near Nainital, called Hanuman Gadi. And as soon as Maharaji saw the brother, he said, quick, go find your brother and tell him to get to the hospital right away. And no, you have to go find your brother and get him to the hospital. So the brother goes to his brother's house, and he finds him there, and he says, you know, Maharaji just sent me here, and he told me that you have to go to the hospital. The doctor said, why? I have a little cold, but otherwise I'm fine. Anyway, so he went to the hospital. He walks in the doors of the hospital. He has a heart attack and dies. While this is happening, Maharaji goes walking around, and one of the things that Maharaji did, he always talked. He was almost never quiet. So he would repeat the same thing over and over. So he's going, doctor's a good man, gonna die. 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 And he's walking around going, and he goes to see another Baba who was very well known at the time, and his name was Telephone Baba. And he was called Telephone Baba because the local people believed that he could speak to the gods. If you had a problem, you asked him, Baba, please, and he would have a conversation with the gods, and everything would be okay. So Maharaji goes up to him, and the Telephone Baba is sitting on the ground. He used to live on the street, wander around. He had a little shawl. That's all he had, nothing, And he had jata, the long hair, big hair. So Maharaji goes to him, he said, doctor's a good man, gonna die. Call Vishnu. So Telephone Baba takes his shawl like this, not picking up. Doctor's a good man, gonna die. Doctor's a good man, gonna die. Call him again, call him again. Garuda says he's alone with Lakshmi. Maharaji goes, fucking around with Lakshmi when there's work to do. So Maharaji grabs Telephone Baba by his hair with one arm and picks him up off the ground and says, call Shiva. Good. As soon as he did this, the doctor sat up in the hospital.
Oh, I love it. I really do. We need the miraculous.
Yeah.
We totally do.
And the compassion. I mean,
What?
And the compassion.
Yes.
The kindness. I mean, that's all he did was all he did.
It's just so amazing. It really is great. I was talking to this Guru Daji. Has anybody ever heard of him? Daji? D-A-A-J-I? Did you ever hear of him? I think he's not so well known. Some few people do. He's a guru, has a ashram near Hyderabad.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him that I was talking to him about Maharaji, and he was looking very serious about that. And then he looked very puzzled because I said I used to pick up people who needed to go to the hospital in Nainital, and I would come with my...
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I came with my Volkswagen
Yeah.
from Almora
Yeah.
and stop at Kotani, and then somebody would come and I'd take him to the hospital. But then, and I saw Maharaji across the bridge and down there, sitting
Yeah,
there.
down there.
The guy with the blankie.
Yeah.
The guy with the blankie. But
Blankie.
because of, our thing with Richard Alpert,
Yeah.
we somehow never came in, so I never met him. So then he looked at this, I said I was very disappointed, and then I told him, I said, till I met him, I did meet him, and he just hopped right into my heart, out of the heart of KD. That's where I met Maharaj, because that's where he lives for me, right there, right under the red shirt, yeah.
I didn't see him.
That's where he lives, Maharaji. And so I feel happy. It made me very happy because I felt I did meet him. Because we need the miraculous in this planet and life. We just don't believe these things. We're all brainwashed and terrorized by materialism, by scientists, scientists. Maharaji is, great adepts, siddhas, they are scientists. And they can pick up people by the hair with one arm. Or he must have been a rather light guy, Telephone Baba. He was little.
Never know.
He wasn't portly, I'm sure. No?
Who
Picked
knows?
him up with one arm, and then he calls Shiva, and Shiva immediately produces.
That's right. We had to get him out of the Earth's atmosphere, off of the ground to get through, up there.
But we need the miraculous. Today is a great day because American democracy is having a better chance. Really. And the great Indian masters, they all like democracy, They do. And India was the first country in Eurasia to really put forward the idea that every single human being has a purpose that is more important than the collective. And that purpose is their own liberation from suffering. And that is the purpose of human life, to find that. Because otherwise we go on being all different kinds of animals, like endlessly up and down in the cycle of life. Whereas in the human time we can learn to control that, and we can always get into a better place. And even we can be born in a culture where they tell you don't have a future life. And they tell you that all you have to do is die, and then you'll be anesthetized for eternity. And therefore what you've done with your life will have no meaning and no purpose whatsoever. And that is such a primitive and backward way of telling. It's so ridiculous. And on top of which nobody ever knows. They don't know that. You know what you have to do when you meet your materialist friends? Say, oh, great, that's really great. You guys, you finally are looking at life, and you're empiricists, and it's really great. You only follow what you can experience, right? And so which one of you got the Nobel Science Prize for discovering the nothing where you're going? Oh. And some of them will roll there, they'll go like this. I must have been a mathematician. Maybe Laplace. They always, a lot of people say Laplace, just because they found zero. That's discovering nothing, because you've got the notation of zero. But you know who discovered zero? Not some Yankee, honky, Anglo, anybody European. No way. Zero was discovered by Indian mathematicians. And the word for zero is shunya, emptiness,
Yeah.
empty. But empty is not nothing, it's just a notation for what doesn't exist. So nobody gets to be nothing, okay? So stop worrying about it. Or stop looking forward to it when you're in pain.
Yeah.
No way. If you have a headache, you're taking that with you in the next life. So you better cure it in this life. Right? Am I right?
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely is relatively.
Any doubt.
Anyway, isn't it wonderful to have these beautiful gurus? I was thinking today about gurus. I had a really wonderful guru.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing he told me in his before he passed away, he said, if you ever mention my name, always say, Donji Ledu Tsene Mete, he says. And that means, that's Tibetan, and that means you say, if you say the name of your guru, you say, I am mentioning his name for a purpose. You're supposed to say that. Meaning, I'm not just babbling and just mentioning the name. But what would be the reason? He says that in Tibetan culture, that's important. It means that shows real respect,
Yeah.
he said. And then he never explained it, of course. It was that type. But I believe that means that he's still with you. Your guru is still there. And so when you mention the name, he will attract his attention. He might be wanting to talk to telephone Baba or whatever else you want to do. And then suddenly you mention his name, so are you okay? Is he okay? You know, he must has to look at you. So you tell other people, I'm just mentioning his name for a purpose.
Maharaji used to say,
Yes?
when you think of me, I am there.
Yeah.
And he also used to say, once I take a hold of your hand, I never let go.
Yes, I remember that.
Even when, not if, even when you let go of mine.
Even in what?
Even when you let go of my hand,
Ah.
I don't let go of yours.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, if we only really believed it.
What?
If we only truly believed it.
I know.
I mean,
Well, but we do.
we have a little bit of
Yeah.
faith, like an ant.
Well, it's like he's got a long arm.
Yeah, he's got a long arm, that's true. But
And the point is, once you don't have that kind of a limited coarse body, you can have 1,000 arms. You know?
Yeah.
You can hold everybody's hand, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe held a few other people besides you.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had to keep a hold of you because you were otherwise going to drown yourself in 3 inches of water.
6 inches.
6 inches.
3 inches would never work.
I exaggerated. It's really beautiful that, you know, it's like you have a mother and a father, and then the Tibetan word for guru, they're translated. The Tibetan is really amazing. I told Daji today, I said, you realize, although China came in and grabbed Tibet, and but nobody can finally own the vast plateau. But I mean, they're holding it at the moment. But I said, really, it belongs to India. It's the attic
Yeah.
where they put some old things that got dusty, and then
Yeah,
people
yeah.
destroyed a lot of stuff in India because India was so plush, and nobody wanted to climb those mountains. You know?
Yeah.
So they could keep some things safe in the attic, I told him.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly like him because I want to make a translation center near his ashram, actually, in Sri Parvata, Glory Mountain, near Nagarjunakonda, where Nagarjuna lived, in Andhra Pradesh. Okay?
Yeah.
And I was telling him that, but he won my heart in one way, because I was telling him about the 60s, and I was asking him about Kalki. Do you know about Kalki? You know who Kalki is? Anybody? Kalki is the 10th avatar of Vishnu, and he ushers in a new age, where everything, the planet he cancels temporarily the Kali Yuga, where everything is getting horribler and horribler. because we were talking about karma.
Yeah.
So I asked him, did he have a timing about Kalki? And then when I asked him, I said, in the 60s, I didn't agree, or I still today don't agree with the Tibetan counting, because Tibetans also have, Buddhism also has Kalki.
Yeah.
And which you know that, right?
Maitreya, right? Same as Maitreya?
No, Kalki.
Kalki.
Yes,
I didn't
Kalki.
know that.
Rudra Kalki, his name.
Rudra Kalki.
Rudra Kalki.
Rudra.
And you know that because Brahma and Hanuman are working in his army there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
In the Armageddon part of it.
Right.
So they have a apocalypse thing like that too. And but I was telling him that I always argue with the astrologers, Tibetan ones, about how we have to wait 400 more years, 415 or something. And I said, I can't stand that. I said to Maharaji, I said, to this guy, Daji, I said, I can't wait, we can't wait 400 years. The planet is going to be too messed up. We don't want to wait 400 more years. And I said, in the 60s, I thought it would be next week. And then I'm still here, like 60 years later.
Yeah.
And it's still not here. But and then I said, what do you think? What do the Hindus say? When is he coming? What do you think? And then he said, this is where he got me. He said, well, I used to think it was last week. He said. That's what he said.
Very nice.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, very nice.
And then he said, there are no different, the time, future is never determined. So he was actually supporting my argument with them. And then I mentioned that my guru, Dönjele Tsenemati Geshe Wangyal, the Mongolian, that was the only time he ever supported me when I was arguing with another Tibetan about the 400 years or any other unconventional thing that I was doing. You know?
Yeah.
And he said to the old astrologer, a Buryat guy with amazing cheekbones, he said, he has a point about me. I was so surprised. Usually he's always, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a real guru.
You know?
Get out of here.
Exactly. But this time he said I had a point. He didn't agree exactly.
Wow.
He just said I had a point. The planet can't take 400 years. And then I told you, does any of you know David Spangler? Do you know David Spangler? No, nobody knows him. He was very famous in the 60s because he has a kind of Krishnamurti type story where he was raised to be a Baptist TV preacher, you know, and he was very eloquent and a beautiful person and so on. He had uncle and father were kind of preachers, you know, big revival preachers.
Right.
You know? And so he was raised to be one. You know, he's going to be the new prince of that. And then when he was about 14, he was at a sermon by his uncle who was doing the thing that unfortunately they do where, you know, when Jesus comes back, everybody who's not Christian gets thrown to hell. Do you know what I mean? It's like really terrible. So he raises his hand in the Sunday sermon there and he says, I don't like that. That's wrong. Why would Jesus sell everybody to hell? It's because they didn't know about whatever it was. They never met him or whatever it was. You know, I'm protesting. That's wrong, you know. God wouldn't do that, he says. So then the uncle said, well, who's going to see to it that he doesn't do it? You? And then he said, yes, I will, he said. And then he became at Findhorn a medium, and he wrote that famous book on the New Age. I mean, he mediumed it. I don't know if you remember that book. It had like a cover. It was kind of the New Age book for a while in the 60s. You didn't notice because maybe you were doing rock and roll at that time.
Yeah, kind of, you know.
But you were too stoned or something. Maybe. Anyway, it was a very well-known book. And then I really liked him because he said that this Armageddon crap and Jesus coming back and everybody getting killed and all is baloney. And the New Age is already here. And the book of Revelation, you know, from the Baptists, the Christian, the rapture, you know.
You don't mean the Urantia book?
What?
Do you? Not the Urantia book.
The who?
Urantia.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That kind of thing, but not that.
But what he said was, he said it's already here, and if you choose love, you're already there in the New Jerusalem. So that's what I think about Shambhala, you know, which is the time when Kalki comes, after that, there's a little tussle, you know,
Little tussle.
some stuff goes on. Some stuff goes on.
Yeah.
And then it's beautiful. And all the spiritual traditions, all of them. It isn't just everybody's a Buddhist or everybody's a Hindu or anything like that. Everybody who's free to be peaceful, loving, friendly, one family.
Yeah.
One family, brothers and sisters. Right? And then, so it's already there. So that when Daji said last week, he got to me.
That's pretty nice. Yeah.
He got to me. So we're already here. And of course, you all know that because you're here. But you don't really know how lucky you are to be here. And I don't mean, I'm not doing PR for Menla. But my wife is made Menla, and she's Spirit, and Michael and everybody, they all work so wonderful. Adam and Eli and Piotr. And, but the vision of Menla is, and actually you did the first retreat, you and me and Sharon.
That's what they say.
I've lost all sense of time. He's just a youngster, you know. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to have a chorus from all of you. And we can start now. Are you ready? You ready to sing along? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Krishna Das. Happy birthday to you. And many happy returns. He's only 40s. He's only 47.
Yeah, 47. Emotionally, I'm 14.
He's much younger than me. He is. He's much younger than me. I'm 82. Well, I'm 83.
Oh, my goodness.
But you know what? The 80s are great. I was told by somebody that, yeah, you're fine in your 70s and 60s. Yeah, you're come on and grown, you know, but wait till you get to 80s. 80s are not for sissies. But that's BS. 80s are fine. We should all have a good health span. Just stop the sugar. Chocolate with stevia. Stevia is fine.
With what? Stevia.
What?
Yeah, stevia?
Stevia,
Yeah,
yes,
no,
stevia.
stevia.
It just grows. You can grow it in a flower pot on your windowsill in New York. It's very good, and it doesn't give you an insulin spike, and it has no calories, and it's 20 times sweeter by weight than sugar.
Yeah.
And it's another nice thing the plants do for us, like they're producing oxygen and so on. Anyway, when my wife my Nana walked on this land here at Tibet House, at Menla, which was given to us as custodians for the Dalai Lama. The idea is just standing here, coming through the gate. Once you're here, you should be less worried. You should feel great. You are actually 0.02. Michael usually tells people 0.2% lighter because there's a magnetic, whatever it is, your gravity is different because of the giant meteorite that's 1 mile down under the earth here that crashed here 400 million years ago. They actually know that.
Yeah.
So you should just feel really great. That's what Medicine Buddha wants you to feel.
I'm floating up. I can't stop. I'm floating.
What? I remember actually the first time you were here.
Yeah?
And Sharon was there. Now I remember that.
Really?
And you were kirtaning and chanting and whatever. You were going, oh, Krishna. You were just going wild. And Sharon was waiting for her turn to talk. And you just didn't stop. And you didn't stop because you were so great.
Oh,
you were feeling
of course.
so. You were feeling so good. I remember that. And you said, "Well, this place is like that. It's special." You said. I didn't even notice at that point, but you said.
Oh, I did say that.
You did. You did.
I did.
Yeah, you used it as an excuse for carrying on.
Sharon and I, we were very good together. She liked to hear me sing, so I sang.
I know.
I like to hear
Anyway,
I like to hear her meditate. So
You like to what?
I like to hear her meditate.
I know. That's true. I do too.
Yeah.
And then hear about how she managed it in the airplane when it got stuck on the runway for 46 hours. You know, she veers into one of her stories where she was doing mindfulness, you know, in the airplane.
Sharon and I, when we get in, we don't drive anywhere together. Because if we're in a car together, if I'm driving,
Yes.
we get lost.
Really?
Every time. It's extraordinary. When we were in Colorado, in Crestone, we were at a retreat with Sokni Rinpoche,
Yes.
and we had to get from the front of the building to the back of the building. We got lost.
Really?
Yeah.
ended
And
up
we
in
got
the
on.
desert?
Not only did we get lost, but the road we were on ended, and there was no way to turn the car around.
God.
We had to we stopped. We didn't know what to do. We had to back out at 2 miles an hour. It took 3 hours to get out of there.
Oh, no.
All we had to do was go around the house. It was crazy. So
That's funny.
between mindfulness and kirtan, you can't drive a car.
That's really nice. I'm doing something with her by Zoom, though. She doesn't like to travel now.
I know she doesn't like to travel. Yeah.
Doesn't like to travel.
She's great. I call
Nina.
her loving kindness.
So, Nina, you're going to do Hanuman tomorrow? What are you doing?
Day after. Day after tomorrow, Saturday morning.
Wonderful. Nina. I'll never forget the first time I saw Nina chanting was in Maui,
Oh, yes.
and I freaked out. No, I did. I thought it was Ananda Mahima. I thought Ananda Mahima had come back to life, if you know who that is. Who was a great Indian saint. Really?
Yeah.
Nina.
Nina Mahima.
What?
Nina Mahima.
Nina Mahima! That's right.
Or Ananda Ninama. Either one.
Nina met her on a railway train when she was traveling with Tim Leary.
Ah.
Ananda Mahima in the 64, 65. And they had some conversation, but I forgot what it was. She gave her a name, actually. Gave Nina a name. But it wasn't Trinayani. That was the Gayatri Devi gave her that name.
Uh-huh.
But Trinayani, which means one who has 3 eyes.
Uh-huh.
But she gave her name, but Nina will have to tell us, because I forgot what it was. She did meet her. So I was familiar with her picture. You are like her, Nina. You really are. You very much are.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, I think I talked enough now. Aren't you going to sing?
No.
No?
I want to hear you talk.
What?
I want to hear you talk. That's
You
all
do?
I want to do.
Where's my book? Here.
There's your book.
Well, I don't really want to talk. You know, I'll tell a story, though, about Taratoku, one of my great teachers. Taratoku was a great Lama who was the abbot of the Gyuta monastery. And His Holiness assigned me to him, and I had to move to Dalhousie from Dharamsala, and to work on translating some Tibetan books on Tantra, because he was abbot of the Tantric monastery. And he didn't know English, and he was very proud of it. And he said, all the lamas who learn English get ruined, he said. They cater to the English people, they all forget everything, and they're terrible. He said, it's really great that I didn't learn English, he was there. But anyway, he came to Amherst College. I got a grant from the foundation to bring him for 1 year. And he taught by me translating in various classes at Amherst. And he observed the people at Amherst. It was so marvelous. But anyway, he was having trouble in an interreligious class that we did with a wonderful professor named Johann Weinhofen, who had been originally a Dutch Benedictine monk, and then he became converted to Judaism and left the church, converted to Judaism. And but then he became a professor, and he was, comparative religion professor. So he was trying to explain to Taratuko about the Last Judgment. And then Taratuko was asking him, well, God is omnipotent. Why does he need, and he was telling us how expensive a grave is near the Wailing Wall or in Jerusalem. They're really expensive to be buried there. Because apparently they're the first people who get up in the time of the Last Judgment. And they get judged and taken to heaven, of course, if they're good, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So he was explaining that, and Tartu was like, but why do you want to be buried and stand up in your grave for God to do that? And isn't God omnipotent? Yes, of course he's. Yes. Well, why does he need a rotten old body? He says, well, some long story about it, you know. And well, what happened if you? Then are you going to be in heaven with a rotten old 90-year-old body? If you go to heaven? No, then he makes you young and beautiful in heaven. You're like an angel. You're all 17-year-old, 18, fabulous.
Oh, I can't.
Well, why does he need the old rotten body, man? Didn't he get the memo on cloning? Or what's fun? So he just kept at it, and he couldn't get it. Couldn't figure it out. And then what if you're blown up in a nuclear explosion and there is no body, but you're a good Christian, you love Jesus, then what? Well, God fixes it up, no problem. Telephone Baba calls him, apparently.
Yeah.
So he just couldn't get over it, but it's really made an impression on him. So we would go for a drive on Sunday in the New England countryside, and he would come to a cemetery by a church, with a little gravestone. And he would be going constantly doing a mantra. All he would do is Om Arabhajana Di, Om Arabhajana Di, Om Arabhajana Di, Om Arabhajana Di, Om Arabhajana Di. That is the Manjushri's mantra. And what it means is, may all beings be cooked. It does. Bhajana means ripened or cooked. And so Om Arabhajana Di, and Di means intelligence or genius or wisdom or whatever. So Om Arabhajana Di. So may all beings be cooked into being more intelligent. It's basically that. And it's Manjushri, the great teacher of wisdom. That's the Bodhisattva, the Buddha who teaches wisdom. So he would always stop when he would see a cemetery, and he would shake his head like that. So the first time it happened, I asked him, I said, Rinpoche, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he says, there they are, all of them, waiting and waiting. He was so upset for them. They're all there waiting and waiting. He was totally into that. Then he would go back,
I heard a story once. Tell me if it's true.
Yeah, right.
That a group of missionaries, Christian missionaries, came to meet His Holiness, Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
And they were speaking for some time. And then they said to him, Your Holiness, what's your idea of sin?
Okay.
Sin. So he was quiet for a minute. And then he looked at them and he said, It's kind of a Christian thing, isn't it?
Really? I see. Good for him. He's quite good. When His Holiness is naughty, he's particularly good. When he's too polite, I get irritated with him. No, I do. Like those scientists, they go there, we had a dialogue with His Holiness on science, so amazing. Well, what happened? What did he say? I don't know what he said. I told him what we were doing in our lab, and he really liked it. Seriously. And they said, I had so many good ideas about my research and talking to him. And then he's like, yeah, really? So I almost went through the roof. One time, they had one, I wasn't there. They had one in a monastery in South India, in Mangod, where they have and they had closed circuit TV there, and they had and it was also live streamed. I was in Thailand at the time, actually. And but I got on and I was watching it. And these quantum physicist guys were talking. And they, oh my God, they took blood. That was 2 days ago. I'm really healthy, by the way.
Yeah.
Some doctor really examined me and my wife together with a ultrasound and looked at the aorta. That's really scary, and everything. And then at the end, he says to me, "Don't cash out your pension anytime soon." Yes. He did. And he said, and then he spotted me, which my wife nodded sagely, and she knew that. He said my veins and arteries were like an adolescent. And so she didn't have, before she could say it, I said, yeah, go in with my mind. Before she could say it. She thinks that men get into adolescence around 70s and 80s, if they're lucky.
I'm waiting.
I see some nods from the females in the room.
Soon, 3 more years, and I can become an adolescent.
And that's why
Really
that was a
can't
digression.
wait.
What was I talking about?
Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Oh, Dalai, yeah. So these quantum physicist guys are talking, and they are talking, they just can't face the fact. Since 1926, that's now almost 100 years, they discovered that they don't know what WTF is going on. They couldn't find an atom or a subatomic particle. And then a nice lady, Vera Rubin, I actually know her name, she discovered that there's approximately 10 times the mass and energy than anything they can see that's dark, that makes what they see function. So 10 times the amount of mass and energy than they've been working on is there, and they haven't seen it yet. Hundreds of years they've been doing, like, measuring everything, and they didn't see it yet. And they are still asking for really big salaries. And they want, like, big machinery. And actually it's great that they have it, because even the planet is telling them that they have a mind and a spirit and a soul, and they should start being responsible about life, because they're alive, But meanwhile, they want to find some theory that will control it, like some number. And it's ridiculous. There is a whole sutra in the Flower Ornament Sutra. And I read it aloud, and that's when I finally understood it. It's very short. The sutra itself is, in English translation, is 1,600 pages in English. But it was the many sutras in it. But this one is quite short. But all it is counting. And it goes up to decillions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, quintillions. It goes up to decillions.
Decillion.
And when you recite a decillion, you have to go through to the novillions, octillions, septillions, and each one has 3 numbers. So it's quite long. Okay? So I recited all of that. And when it finally gets to the decillion, it then says, if you think you can count this universe, your head is in touch with dark matter and dark energy. That's the whole sutra is about that. So mathematics will not capture reality. They don't capture it. They don't. And that's why the Indians knew that, so therefore they invented the decimal system. To add a 0, and then you don't have to count so much. I also feel bad. I really feel bad for the guy who was doing stone carving for the Romans. No, because the guy, he never could stop that guy. He's like hacking away on the stone there. And then the emperor had to conquer more to have a longer foundation stone. So he kept going, because they couldn't figure out how to add a 0. The brilliant Westerners, the genius, Euro-American, whatever, Mediterranean people.
That's why there was no unemployment.
Isn't it fun? We're so advanced, we think. We're like ridiculous. We're blowing up this planet because we're so silly. And Maharaji still has mercy on us. And Dalai Lama too. But anyway, I'm sorry. He was talking to, so those physicists were talking.
Yes.
And because they can't capture anything, they have all these crazy things like that cat is alive and dead, and it doesn't know if it's dead or alive until it collapses. And then we have an atom here, but there's 2 atoms in the place of 1 atom. They both occupy the same space, but they both have mass. But they're there for no reason. And then suddenly they separate for no reason, no cause. And if these things in Buddhist science are total no-nos. If you talk like that, they send you to a therapist. In other words, you can't make senseless statements like that. It's just ridiculous. And pretend you're describing something. So the 7,000 or 8,000 monks listening to this were like thinking, these people are really nuts. But they were being very polite.
Always.
Polite. And he felt he was losing the audience. There were 2 of them going back and forth. All these irrational and completely insane things, but you have to get used to them.
Yeah.
So he felt that. So then he was looking nervously at His Holiness. He might be losing His Holiness too, who was also looking very polite. And so then he says, but you know, we're going to figure out, Your Holiness, how this kind of insane expressions that we are just saying here now can be used to undergird a new system of ethics. Like you be good because there's no reason to do so, this, that, and the other, and it all doesn't make any sense, but you'll do it anyway. Or whatever. He didn't really detail. He tried to mention ethics because he knows His Holiness is very much into wanting ethics.
Yeah.
And materialists have no reason to do ethics unless except you just don't want to get caught.
Right.
But otherwise it's all meaningless because it's all nothing, right, ultimately. So they're completely reckless, this culture. So His Holiness then, sort of that was kind of the end. That was the very end. And then he was kind of taking some breaths. So then His Holiness says, wow, if you can get ethics into this, he said, I'm going to give you a scientist guru hat. And all the Tibetans who knew what the joke was going to be, probably, they were going berserk with laughter. It was a huge laugh. And the physicists couldn't quite tell what it was about. But they were going along being good sports, like, ha, ha, ha. They weren't sure what this was going to lead to. And then he says, then there's a pause after the laughter. And then he says, and you know, there'll be a lot of holes in that hat. And then again, huge laughter, whatever. And then they're looking like, oh, well, we're in a tropical place, maybe like those Australian hats, ventilation. They're thinking of ventilation in the scientist guru hat. And then finally His Holiness gets a little real. And after the next post, he says, to go along with the holes in your theories. And then everybody's applauding.
Oh my God.
And so, of course, they're kind of trying to be good sports.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm in Thailand, and I had a broken foot, so that's why I was watching instead of doing some tour. I had messed up my foot, and I was thinking. But I almost jumped to the roof. I was so delighted. Finally, he had to say something really great. I was really pleased. Usually he shushes me up, He says, you guys, former and future life, you don't have to think about it. That's our Buddhist business. It's not your business. Don't worry about it. We're just talking reason here. And then nirvana, never mind about nirvana. So then when I'm there, I would say, but Your Holiness, don't we think that's part of reality? So, he doesn't want me bothering them there. So they can go on, And then sometimes there was one quantum physicist who had a Nobel Prize, and there was one psychologist who had a Nobel Prize, neuroscientist, psychologist. And the quantum guy was finally tired of this, and he was saying, he was Austrian, and he was saying, Your Holiness, we're tired of everybody telling you everything, how we're so smart. You have to tell us what do we do. We don't know what's going on, he said. We have no idea. You please tell us. And then the neuroscientist, we do know. He was German, so you had a German Austrian. They really went at it. His Holiness was trying to calm them down. It's okay. They were one of both Nobel Prize.
Wow.
But they never asked him any question. That from the science point of view, that he might be onto something. Like there could be a little yogi with a shawl who called up Shiva, and then the guy sat up. Seriously. I know a pediatrician. Did I tell you that story?
No.
Already? I know a pediatrician. I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but he kept saying he wanted me to talk. I know you want him to sing. I want him to sing, but he wants me to talk, so I'm talking.
We'll sing.
Anyway, I met him. He's a pediatrician, very nice guy. And he came to Menla. I met him in Hawaii. We had dinner. He's dealing with the children of my friend. But then he came over here to Menla with his wife. Then we were having supper in that little room there, that little storeroom there by the. And he says, we start talking finding out each other's stories. So he jumps right in. I want you to know, I died when I was 16, he said. We said, oh, what happened? He said, well, I grew up in a fundamentalist church in California, a very serious Orthodox Christian church. And then I was doing a summer program at 16 of taking kids in Guatemala on nature hikes out of the slum in what is that, Tegucigalpa or someplace, and I could go for a walk in the hills, you know. And then I stepped in a thing that looked nice and smooth like sandy. It was volcanic ash quicksand, and I sunk in there and died.
Wow.
And it took them hours to get me out.
Whoa.
They had to find, wood and ropes, and I don't know how they did it, but they got them out. And they put the body there. But see, I was there the whole time, and I saw everything that was happening. But I was in a river of bliss, of sheer light bliss flowing around, swirling around in this river of bliss. I was so happy, but I saw what was happening with my body, and all the people were upset and the whole thing, and I was aware of all that, but I was in bliss. He says, and then I was it was like a stream, and I was going along on it, and then I came to like a piazza, like in a Latin country you have a plaza, and there was a fountain in the plaza, and who was leaning against the fountain but Jesus? And then I asked him, I said, well, how did you know it was Jesus? He said, I was in church, I can recognize Jesus, he said. And then he says, Jesus said, well, it's a bit early.
You said what?
It's a bit early.
Oh.
Because he was 16, right?
Yeah.
But, all right, type of thing. So then, that made me think a minute. He said, otherwise I was just in this river of bliss, he said. I wasn't worrying about anything. But then that made me think. And so then, as I was sort of swirling across the piazza, and Jesus was there, I then spoke to him, and I said, well, I'm really happy. And Jesus was kind of gesturing me to go on down the river, of bliss. But I said, but I was very young, and there was a few things I did want to do. And then Jesus said, and I don't know why I add this to the story. I just can't help myself. Jesus looked at his iPhone and checked his or his clipboard or whatever. I have to feel, because he made a gesture like that. Jesus kind of looked like that. And then he looked up and he said, well, it's a bit late, he said, because I know he'd been dead for several hours.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, okay. And he waved his hand like that. And bam, I woke up my body sat up in the tent.
Oh.
And that's like hours, because they pulled him out of the thing, they took him, washed him off, put him in the thing, he had a tag on his ankle.
A tag, yeah.
To be sent, mailing address back to California.
Really?
And then he sat up.
Oh, wow.
And he tells me the story.
Amazing.
And then he decided to be a doctor. Because he said that happiness had been with him ever since, of that river of bliss.
Wow.
It's been with him ever since. That's pretty frequent with the near-death. Well, that's after death, but they're after death and near-death ones. That's pretty good, don't you think? Yes. Wouldn't that nice? Did anybody have that kind of experience?
I just got an email from
What?
a friend of mine.
You did?
What? I just got an email from a friend of mine. She lives out west, and she had severe vertigo for a year.
Oh my God.
And she couldn't get out of bed. Every time she moved her head, she got nauseous. And she had to lie in the dark room and everything. So there was one period where she was alone for a week. Pretty much her husband took the kids away. She was in this, and she was lying there, and she said, I went into this meditation where I died. I saw my body die, and it was perfectly fine. And then I came back, and I lost all the tension and fear and anxiety that I had my whole life and everything. And then gradually the vertigo kind of went away.
Wonderful.
And then she's just living a whole different kind of life right now. It's like
Wonderful.
amazing,
Wonderful.
Things happen.
Yes. Anita
to other people.
What?
These things happen to
Yeah,
other
they
people.
do. Well, yours happened.
Mine happened already.
Last
I just
week.
can't remember it. What?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Exactly.
okay.
It all happened last week.
It all happened last
It's happening
week.
right now, but we're just distracted. That's all. It's happened to everybody, even people dying, living, being born, whatever. It's really there. Daji was saying, he was saying that because he knows that Nina. He knew right away that Nina was sitting with me in the Zoom, and he knew that she's very upset about the violence. In Israel and Ukraine and so
Yeah.
very upset about it. But and then, does any of you know what October 7th is? Yeah, sure. Do you know, and of course it's the horrible Hamas atrocities, it's the horrible attack. 1,200 people, terrible murders and all. But you know what the day is? Does anybody know? The media will never say it. They're so stupid, they have no research. It's Putin's birthday.
Oh.
And Lavrov was just in Iran. And the trigger was pulled by the Iranian Ayatollah. You should know that.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
And the Hamas people who pulled the trigger, who then reacted, and the Hezbollah people on this side,
Yeah.
they sacrificed their whole population. They know that.
Yeah.
It's the most right-wing government Israel has ever had in its whole history. The most ferocious, unrealistic government they've ever had. And so that was the birthday present for the monster. It's important to know that. You realize when you hear that, you understand something. The guy, Ayatollah himself, hates all his own women, right? They're killing their own women. They've killed hundreds of them, for not wearing the burqa or whatever it is. You know that? Yeah. So this violent, dominant thing, it's the last gasp. The only thing we can take from it that's wonderful is it's soon over once these idiots, everybody sees these idiots on Facebook. Finally, the people will have had enough. The regular people who just want to have breakfast and lunch and dinner, maybe, or even just one meal a day.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? Yes. Are you all hopeful?
Yes.
Don't be scared.
No.
Anybody.
He's on the way out, Netanyahu.
What's that?
He's on the way out, I think.
What?
He's on the way out.
They all are. The male, chauvinist, crazy, patriarchal. Problem is solved if I can just lose my temper. And if I'm in a position in some old-fashioned, obsolete structure of oligarchy of some kind, divine right of kings, whatever left over from it, then my bad temper will kill millions. Yeah. I mean, that's just not possible any longer, right? It is totally ridiculous. Democracy is the only thing. Chaos. Dalai Lama tells the story. He was so happy when he went to India in 1956. He had been to China in 1954 at the demand of Mao. Mao took him to the Chinese parliament. It was dead silent. Nobody breathed in that parliament. They just waited to see what Mao would say or what Zhou Enlai or something. But nobody, there's total silence. Everybody just looking at the leader, terrified. And then, so we visited there. And then Nehru got him out for the Buddha Jayanti in 1956. And Mao reluctantly let him go on the basis that they would come right back. But then he took him to the Indian parliament. And the Indian parliament, Dalai Lama walked in and was screaming and shouting and climbing over the desk and practically pummeling each other. It was like wild. Chaos. And Dalai Lama was so happy. Oh, I like democracies. Oh, democracy is really great. He's been saying that ever since, Dalai Lama.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
All right. Well, I vote that maybe it's time to sing.
What?
I vote that maybe it's time to sing a little bit because they're tired.
Yes. They'll all pass out if I keep talking.
I'm also tired.
What? So are you going to sing Manjushri Namasam Gita?
Let's do it another time.
I've been trying for decades to get him to play his harmonium and sing Manjushri Namasam Gita. I really like Manjushri. Manjushri is the crown prince of wisdom. And he said, there's a thing, he says, Navajadara, Srimat, supreme tamer of those hard to tame, the hero victorious over the three worlds, Lord of secrets, the adamantine Lord. His eye like an opening white lotus, his face like a wide open lotus, his hand again and again brandishing the excellent thunderbolt, was along with the retinue lords having ripples of furrowed brow and so on. Their thunderbolt. Anyway, never mind. That's English. That sucks. Okay, right. Now listen. Atta vajadaraha sriman durdanta damaka para triloka vijayi viro guyarat kulisheshvara. Kulisha, you know what that is? Kulisha? Kulisha?
No.
It's the thunderbolt.
Oh.
It's a vajra. It's also some other thing that males think about. Vibuddha Pundarikaksha Protpula Kamalana pralalayan vajravaram svakalena muhurmuhu prakuti taranta pramukhair anantair vajrapanibhi turdanta damakhair viraya vira vibhatsarupibhi ulaleyat bih svakarai praspurat vajrakotibhi pradnopaya mahakaruna jagaratta karaparai hirta tushta shaya muditai krodha vigraha rupibihi buddha kirtya karairnathai sardam pranata vigrahai. These are all, the hike is all instrumental, because all these Vajrapanis, there's hundreds of them, they're asking Buddha to teach them the hymn of the names of Manjushri, like the Chalisa, but on Manjushri. Okay? And then finally, then Buddha responds to them. I'm skipping it because that's all instrumental, you know. Ata Shakramunir Bhagavatam Bhagavam Sambuddho Dviparottamaha Nirnamayatam Spitam Svajihvam Svamukhat Shubham. His own tongue shining from his mouth, his tongue. Buddha had a huge tongue. What's a sign? In case anybody's claiming to be Buddha, they have to touch their hairline. And then the tongue will cover their entire face.
Whoa.
A huge tongue. Something about it, Buddha. It's one of the 32 signs. Smitam samdarsha lokanam, showing his smile to the world. Apayatraya shodhanam, when a Buddha smiles, then all the hells and the pretalokas and the animal kingdom are completely purified. They rise to the human level, all animals. Trailokya bhasa karunam chaturmarari shasanam trilokam bhaparantya brahmya maduraya gira pratyabhasate guhyendram vajrapanim mahabalam. So he talked to Vajrapani. To Vajrapani, he said, Sadhu Vajradhara Shrimam Sadhu te Vajrapanaye. I mean, good Vajrapani, you asked the question. Yastvam Jagad Hitartaya, for the sake of all the migrants, for the benefit of all the migrants. You realize the beings we translate out, shitty translators say being, but the Indian word Jagat means a goer. Because everybody is a migrant. You think you have a passport and a visa and a birth suit, they're all migrants. And how do you migrate? By dying. Then there's no visas, no passports. You find a good mom as a human if you've been a nice human person. But you're a migrant. Tat sadhu deshayam yeva esha aham te guhyaka dipa. You're the Lord of secrets, so I'm going to teach you, you good guy. Shanu tvam, listen, you, ekagramanas, with a one-pointed mind, tat sadhu bhagavan iti. So then that's what Bhagavan said. So then he says, then this is a different audience, I'll forget that. Then he says here, Imam Shad Mantra Rajana Samyuktam Advayodayam. So now he says, this is the 6-syllable mantra. So Manjushri is 6 Arabhadana day. 6-syllable mantra. It says, mantra rajana samyuktam advayodam, from which non-duality arises when it is connected. Anutpada dharminim, it holds the gayatam, it is a verse that holds the teaching of the unborn, which is all of us. We never were created. We are remaining to be created. We are uncreated except as illusions. But as illusions, we can be joyful, we can be happy, we can be loving, we can be kind. When we don't take ourselves so seriously, because we are made of illusion. We know that. Gatam bhashati sma kiram pate. So he said that. Then this is his same thing. I love this. I, u, e, I, o, ow. Am, stito, hurdi. So these are the vowels. Did you know that in India, creation of a world cycle comes when the vowels come, who in this case are feminine. Actually, in other contexts, they are masculine. But in this case, they're feminine. And with the males, you know what they are? They're a bunch of dead consonants lying around like M. They want to go ma, but they can't do anything. T, they got K, they go. They can't do anything unless the vowel comes ka or ak. Either a vowel comes to arrive at them or leave them. So the vowels have to come so that the consonants come to life. And then from that, the syllables arise, which are mantra, and from that, the world arises. It's created by mantra, not by atoms and a dark matter, dark energy, a bunch of weird, I don't know what. And is in English. What is A? It's not A. We never say A. But that's the first letter in the alphabet. We go A. I hated it when I was a little kid. I had to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S.
D, U, V.
It was all no rhyme or reason in the ordering of it. Nothing. In Sanskrit, they know they're borrowing the vowel A, and they put all the consonants in the gutturals, ka, ka, ga, ga, nga. And they put them all together, and then the dentals, the palatals, the dentals, the labels. The Europeans, the Russians and the Germans invented linguistics when they discovered Sanskrit. Sanskrit is linguistics, and it was discovered 2,500 years earlier in Panini Buddha. That's higher culture. That's all I'm saying. You guys are here. You're Indophiles. You're Bhaktiwalas. And this is Bhakti for a genius insight.
Yeah.
So he says this, and then he says, Om. Om is A plus U. O is A plus U. It's therefore secondary. A, I, U are the first ones. E is A plus I. Long A plus I is I. Long A plus O, U is Au. I was so happy when I discovered Tibetan and Sanskrit. Some people who know what's going on when you're flapping your lips and flipping your tongue and breathing and doing that. Some people actually know what it is. So Indian people, they're going, la, 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 la. The ladies on the different porches talking, la, 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 la. When you first hear them talking, you think they're having a fight, but they're just talking.
Right.
They have much more vigorous speech, right? They don't mind. They don't have a fist fight right away like they would in an American bar, you know. Om Bhajatikshna Dukha Cheda Prajnana Murtaye. The body of intuition and wisdom, cutting off suffering with the sharpness of the diamond. That's what it is. Jnanakaya Vagishvara, the God of speech, who is the body of intuition. Don't ever believe that women's intuition is not the highest wisdom. Knowing by being what you know, so you don't need a circuitous reason. So when he says, why do you think so, dear? Because he doesn't listen to you and believe you, just tell him to take a hike. Yeah, and I know because I'm the one who's always, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah. You sure that's right, dear? Let's double check. Yeah, and then she gets irritated. Why does she get so irritated? I don't know. I'm just trying to check up. Because I'm much slower. Jnanakaya Vagishvara Arapajanayate Namaha. Okay, that's enough. Enough bad singing. But my point is, bhakti. This is bhakti.
That's bhakti.
This is bhakti to wisdom. Bhakti as the natural thing to do if you're wise. Because wisdom means that you become what you know, intuition of women is because they are what they know. Because they are much more embracing of reality. They embrace it. So they know something by being one with it. Instead of like running around and talking about what am I going to do, the male thing. And so that's the one thing. And bhakti, you lose yourself through devotion to a beloved. And you don't even care if they don't care about you. But the great thing is, they do care about you. He never let go of your hand. And Krishna never lets go. And there can be 1,000 million on Krishna Avalokiteshvara. The Buddhas never let go. And they are Buddhas. But loving gods are Buddhas. The older gods who you had to appease with some sacrifice, they are not so friendly. Because you have to, they're always hungry. They want another burger or something. But Krishna loves everybody. And so he's a Buddha. Totally. And it doesn't mean he's a Buddhist. No. Buddha wasn't even a Buddhist. There was no Buddhism at that time. It was just being realistic. Okay?
Okay.
Is that all right?
Oh, it's wonderful.
All right? Do you forgive me? Okay. You guys sing now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Taking out because you have it from. Then I might slip out before I get too exhausted. Okay. And David is there, Mr. Mindful playing the guitar. And the cello man. What's your name? Noah. And hi. What's your name?
Arjun.
Arjun.
R2D2? R2? What?
R2D2.
Arjun.
Arjun.
Nagarjun.
Arjun. Who achieves his aim. Arjun. Mark. Mark?
R2D2.
R2. I have to call you R2. Okay.
Thank you, Kitty.
Hey, Piotr, these lights are really horrific. I know you need them for the something, but they're brutal. Just brutal. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, yeah. Wow. Pranavam Vavanakuma Kalabana Pavak Kanakan Jasuhradaga Basayram Sarachabatan Atulitamaladham Himmashalabadeham Nujavana Krishna Gyani Nama Graganyam Sakala Guna Nidhanam Panaranam Disham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Namam Goshpadi Kritavarisham Mashiki Kritarakshasam Ramayana Mahamalaratnam Ande Nilatmajam Anjana Nandaram Viram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapisa Ande Lanka Vayankaram Langasandho Salilam Salilam Yashokavahi Janakatmaja Adaitanil Dadahalanka Amamitam Pranjaliranjaniyam Manojavam Maruttatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarautamukyam Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye Anjaneya Matipatalanam Kakshanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Taramula Vasanam Bhaveyami Pavamananandanam Yatra Yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tattva Tattva Kritamastakhanjalim Vashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Martinamat Rakshasatakam Bajranga Bali Hanuman Ki Jai. Rama So I'll introduce the band officially. On cello, Noah Hoffeld. What is that thing you're playing, dude? That electric guitar guy? David Nickturn. Nina Rao, playing the universe. And then welcoming back to the family, he's been away for a while, Mark Egan. And my partner in crime, Arjun, R2D2. Muji's sleeping some.
Yeah, he's sleeping.
You know now, you're ruined, you know. It's R2D2 forever. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. How's everybody feeling, okay? Getting tired? Holding me in your arms, vast embrace, only love, shining in endless space. All I want is to be with you. All my prayers have been heard. All I need is to rest inside your heart, as wide as the world. I looked away, your beauty, too much to bear. Where could I run? Your eyes, I find them everywhere. All I want is to sing to you the song that no one has heard. All I want is to rest inside your heart, as wide as the world. Too tired to raise my too tired to raise my So we'll finish up with Hanuman Chalisa tonight. calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this boat in mind, calling out a hungry spirit everywhere through endless time, calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine. Calling out to hungry hearts everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this heart of mine, calling out to hungry spirits everywhere through endless time, calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round, share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Chamana Makur Sudhari Varana Raghupara Vimala Jasu Jodayaka Palachari Buddhihin Tanujanike Sumeram Pavana Kumasyaram Palabuddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Kalesa Bikara Savara Ramachandra Pada Jesharanam Jaya Hanuman Kyamna Gunasari Jaya Kapisa Loka Puja Ramaduta Turta Baladama Anjani Pavana Sutanam Mahavira Vikram Bajarangi Umatneva Sumati Kesangi Ranjanavarana Virana Subes Kanana Kundala Kunchitake Atapajura Urta Chavira Ande Munjijane Ursai Kurta Suvana Kesari Nanda Teja Pratap Mahadeva Divyavana Kuni Ati Chaturama Kaja Karibe O Atur Prabhu Chalitra Sunive Korasiya Sukhino bhavantu. Okay, good night. Sleep well, and see you mañana.